It is March 12th, and we will start the meeting with Jenny is going to come up and do the pledge. And we have the cheat sheet out, but I'm sure she knows it. Now, here we go, Jen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Big this here, girl. Okay, so, inspiration. Yes.
I'm going to go old school, Mark Twain. And I think this kind of help us all as we're going through this crazy life. He says, I've lived through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened.
Okay, so reader, do we have who's our reader today? Our reader was Renee. So Renee, how did you do on cards? Still have 11 cards, so if you haven't had a chance yet, dig in those pockets for those dollar bills, so we can get those out and about and sold before the end of the meeting. And we have Jody, you want to introduce? Yes, I can go ahead and say Becca Martin is here for the second time. Stand up, Becca. Thank you. She is our banner bank.
Hi, Becca.
Yes, so she will be hopefully joining us for the future, but she is here with Jody right now because she's going to be leading in charge when Jody retires in April, which is coming very soon. And of course, we have our speaker, and I will introduce him in just a little bit. He's here for the second point. With that, we have a new member invitation today. So I'm going to ask Tom to come up and hopefully before Victoria starts the meeting. Go through this process and have her induct her and welcome into the club.
So. This is Victoria Lopez Gar, sorry. Victoria Lopez Gar. God, yes. Sorry, I talk with my hands. No, Victoria is.
Microphone.
Oh, okay. Don't sit on my hand, maybe that would work. So anyway, Victoria is going to join us. She comes from Whittier, California and grew up in Covina. Southern California girl, me too. So we have lots in common, probably up with lots of folks in here. And he has 3 sisters and grew up with her mom. And that's pretty special. I have only one. So one of the things that she did, she went to college in Laverne, which I had never heard of Laverne before, but even born up in the valley. And so she went there, American political history. We need to talk. We need to talk to some other people too. Anyway, after college, she taught special ed in Pasadena. Later on, she worked as an adolescent treatment center in Salt Lake City, and then practiced therapeutic and mental health work with teen boys in Vegas for 10 years. That's a lot. And for her 40th birthday, she had the joy of going to Puerto Vallarta and swimming with the dolphins. I think that would be too cool. And see, in 2018, they moved up here. And she has 2 daughters and a husband. And kiddos, Brianna and Susie, go to Lincoln Elementary, which Kel knows all about. Because you taught at Lincoln. So yeah, going down, right? Everybody did. Yeah. So yeah. So currently she works as a social services specialist for the Oregon Department of Human Services Child Welfare, where she is the adoption worker for Josephine County. She is enrolled in the Masters of Public Administration program through Southern Utah University. Is that like online?
Yes.
Yeah. So despite her busy schedule, she did have to repeat kindergarten. So now she's even busier. She's interested in ways to connect with the community, and I think she found the right place, and we're loving to have you.
Officially a red badge member, and we'll be working towards your blue badge.
Yeah.
I'll give you a packet that tells you all the information.
Thank you.
So,
I just want to say thank you to everyone when I came here to speak as a guest speaker back in January. It was so nice and welcoming, and then Tommy reached out and dropped off an application at the office, and it's just really nice to be around like-minded people, and I'm looking forward to doing everything with the blue badge. Thank you.
very nice. And now we have another award today, and that I'm not sure what it said. But those of you who are not aware of our Paul Harris Award, Paul Harris is when you become a Paul Harris member when you give $1,000 to the Rogue Foundation. And there's a place online to donate. A lot of times when we have things from here, if you give them to the Rogue Foundation, that money is counted. So over time, if you have giving, and we know that's where the money that it comes from for our district grants, it's the money that comes for our global grants. So it's a really important part of Rotary. So once you get to $1,000, you get a Paul Harris Award. Well, this year, today, I get to give a 4-time Paul Harris Award, which is 4 beautiful sapphires to Bev Walker. So let's give someone else. Very good. And it is very nice. I got my first one last year and I'm working on my second, and I am very proud of it. So you should be very proud of that. And I was gonna try to undo it and put it on, but my fingers don't work. So yes, thank you very much. That's great. Okay, if anybody has any announcements, they can come on up. I have right now the food bank back there next. Actually, I didn't realize the Fridays, Grants Pass kids don't have school on Friday next week. So yeah, I just saw that when I was in there this morning. So this is kind of our last hurrah to get kids food for the backpack so they can send it out to kids over spring break. For we know unfortunately that a good percentage of kids are have food issues. Also, we have Porch Fest, if I'm correct, and said packet Porch Fest t-shirt stack there for $10. Am I correct?
Yes.
So if you want a t-shirt for Porch Fest, they're back there. We also have the regular Rotarians at work. Some of you actually pre-ordered them. They're in the back. They're 15. We're kind of using it a little bit as a fundraiser for our organization. So both of those can be bought in the back. We also are looking, speaking of Porch Fest, we're out there gathering sponsors. So that's going on, and we'd like to have that end up by the end of the month so we know who they are. We also have, we're out knocking on doors. So we're out knocking on doors, asking people, we have to get 75% of the people up and down Washington and down
Fourth
and Long Range and all that area. We have to have 75% of them agree to shut down the streets. So we were out last Saturday, a week ago Saturday, some of you went. Tuesday, some of us went, and we're looking for people on Sunday. I am going with Lisa at 12:30 because she wants to go early because she's got a 2 o'clock appointment. But originally 2 o'clock is when we have written down for people to go out and collect signatures. So I'm going to pass this around one more time. I know some people have notified that via email that they will be available at 2 o'clock on Sunday. But we can use all the help we can get getting those signatures so we can move on from that. So I'm going to send this around if anybody wants to sign up who hasn't signed up. Yeah, so we'll let you figure it out. I mean, if you have any questions, ask Doug, because he's kind of ultimately in charge there. So, and with that, yes, I think that's our announcements, other than Tommy has one for us. So come on down, Tom.
Right, my hands. So this week, as you all remember, last year at this time, we were getting ready to do the 25th anniversary for the Performing Arts Center at GP High School. So they have a great play that the kids are doing. It's very, very professionally done. You don't get Wade's positive comments if it isn't a good one. So he highly recommends this, and I just wanted to remind everybody that it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday matinee at 2. Friday, Saturday, there at 7 p.m. And I'll hope to see you all there. So, oh, yeah, Silent Sky. Oh, I'll tell you a little bit about it. A little bit about it is that it is about.
Or is this a trigger?
Anyway, it's when women were not allowed to really be in the science field and working and that sort of thing. And so this woman is looking at the stars and learns an awful lot, even though she's not allowed to touch the telescope. She learns a lot, and the kiddos do play.
Okay. And is this the last weekend?
This is the
Oh,
last.
this is last weekend. Okay, that's why we're going at 12:30, right? Lisa, so that, yeah, she can go to that. I get it. All right, and with that, we're ready. Oh, another announcement?
Yeah. One other announcement, we are doing we're making the wedding arbors for the county park system. It's going really well. The high school students have been fantastic. It's going really fast. So we just have a little bit more work to do next Tuesday and Wednesday if you're interested in going. If it's a stretch for you to go, we're gonna get it all done. So no worries there. We're just gonna be painting the last of it, next Tuesday and Wednesday. So you can skip
1
it.
o'clock.
You can skip it unless you're really jazzed about being out there with the high school students.
It's at 1 o'clock, right? And
Yeah, 1 o'clock at the county parks on Ringette, county parks maintenance office.
Right.
At Ringette.
Okay. Good. Okay, and without further ado, our program today is with Brian Barr, who's a fisheries biologist. And I followed his life. He started northwest of Chicago. He grew up. He went to school and got his bachelor's in swimming in Ohio, zoology, if I'm correct. Yeah. And then he went on to Virginia Tech in Virginia. And somehow, with all that, he's a Boston Red Sox fan. I found out why today. For the same reason that I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. My father grew up in Boston. And so my whole family rallies around the Boston Red Sox. But having lived in Illinois, Ohio, and Virginia, I couldn't quite figure it out. But now I get it. His love of water brought him to the Rogue River, of all places. In 1995, he's currently the executive director of the Rogue River Watershed Council. So I'll turn it over to him and let him explain what that means and what he does.
How's that? Can you guys hear me okay? Is that loud enough? Loud enough in the back? Okay, we have nods or was that Burns? Okay, perfect. Very good. I still have my 25 minutes now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna start that. Let's see. Where's my guy?
Well, we're here, turning your volume up.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay, one thing at a time. Volume. It sounds good to me. I can hear myself. Here we go. Okay, song and dance. I can add a little color. I was gonna have something exciting to say, which was that bachelor's degree in zoology was at a small school outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, Miami University. Up until a couple hours ago, they were the only undefeated team in men's college basketball. They laid an egg in the first round of the conference tournament. They're now 31-1. I was hoping not to have to talk about that, but thanks to Doug's delinquency, now you get that. All right, here we go. Another couple of caveats. Hopefully this doesn't reflect. Bailey is a board member of the Rogue River Watershed Council. Hopefully this doesn't reflect too poorly on you. This is the second time I've delivered this particular presentation. The first one was 2 days ago at the Rogue Valley Manor. They wanted me to speak for 90 minutes. So I cut out half the slides, and I will confess that I sort of channeled every bit of Blacksburg, Virginia into my delivery on Tuesday. You're going to get half the slides Chicago speed. I think we'll get this done in 25 minutes. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm also not super familiar with the presentation, so you'll see me looking over my shoulder a little bit. I'm going to lay a couple of building blocks before I tell you about how a couple of the programs that we've got going at the Rogue River Watershed Council are merging together, which is an executive director's dream. You have a couple of disparate efforts that are coming together to support one another, all according to plan, but sometimes you're not sure that plan is going to come together. Before we get to the programs and the merging of them, though, I want to make sure you guys all understand the water cycle. You probably learned about it in the 4th grade and haven't thought about it ever since. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what a watershed is, why the state of Oregon has watershed councils, and then we can build into the what on earth could a watershed council do to help make drinking water better. So the thrust of this story is going to be, how do we merge river restoration efforts, which usually are done for the benefit of wildlife? How do we get benefits to drinking water? And why would you try to do that? Which is what we're trying to do. So next slide. This should be a water cycle slide. Okay. All the water that there is now is all that there ever was. There will be no more in the future. Water is a constant. It occurs on the earth in a couple of different forms. Most of us think of it in the liquid form, right? It's in a lake, it's in a river, it's in the ocean. But the polar ice caps, right? Those are water. Glaciers, those are water. The snow on the top of the mountain before it melts, that's water in its solid form. There's also a gaseous form. Clouds are made of water, mostly made of water, not entirely of water. As plants make their living, right? They evapotranspire water into the atmosphere. That's gaseous water. But again, all the water that there ever was is all the water that there will ever be. Here in the Western United States, most of you, I assume, are from the Western United States. We get hyperfixated on snow. How much snow is in the mountains in the winter? And the amount of snow in the mountains in the winter is really important because it's going to be the water that's in our rivers flowing down to Gold Beach in the case of the Rogue River in the summer. And so what we hope for is lots of precipitation in a cool winter so that we have lots of snow. And then we have a nice long kind of cool spring so that we have that snow melt sort of deep into the summer. Tends to be really important. Spoiler alert, that ain't gonna be the case this year. We don't have very much snow in the mountains and it's been really warm, which is what the future is gonna be for us. I am sorry to say, go ahead. So what in the heck is a watershed? That's the water part. What's the shed part? I'm gonna try to make this super quick. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this slide, but every drop of water that falls on ground that goes to the same place is within the same watershed. So a drop of water falls over here, near, let's say, on the northwest part of Mount Ashland, and another drop of water falls over here, and they both end up in the west branch of Ashland Creek. That's the same watershed. A drop of water that falls over here and goes into the east fork of Ashland Creek, different watershed. However, those two watersheds, go ahead and go to the next slide. Those two watersheds come together, right? And eventually flow into Ashland Creek. Ashland Creek is also a watershed. And Ashland Creek flows into Bear Creek, just like Wagner Creek does, and Neal Creek does, and Griffin Creek does. Those are all part of the Bear Creek watershed. Bear Creek flows into the Rogue River, just like Brave Creek and Jump Off Joe. Those are all part of the Rogue Basin. Go back to the top of Mount Ashland, a drop of rain that falls a little bit further to the south, maybe is going to go into Grouse Creek. Grouse Creek flows down towards the Klamath, right? Totally different river basin. Rogue River Basin, Klamath River Basin. All those watersheds nest together, so it's kind of a hierarchy. Okay, that's the watershed part of this. That's a good looking dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got a gimpy right leg this morning. So most of us think about rivers, and I think in the Western United States, we think about rivers a lot, much more so than lakes. You think about a river is just a bunch of water that's flowing downstream because that's what gravity does to it. And it goes down and it's just water and how it goes. And I just want to make sure you all know equally important, that's a super important part of rivers. But equally important, and actually probably from our perspective, outside of the drinking water and the things, us human beings, rivers move sediment. They move rocks that might be the size of a clay particle, super small, right? It might be the size of a rock, the size of a Volkswagen Beetle or a house, right? It flows are strong enough, they can move rocks of a whole bunch of various sizes. And if you don't understand that, this is Tacoma Gorge near Union Creek, kind of like Becky's Cafe. So water did all that through basalt, right? Basalt is not a very erodible rock, so it forms this gorge. The power of moving water is impressive. Stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon, right? Have your toes going over the edge. Water did all of that. And it did it by eroding the rock, the parent material of the rock, and moving it downstream. Why don't we go ahead and go to the next slide, which is the historical. This is the start of Eagle Point, basically. And so this water flowing downstream, moving rocks of various sizes is important because when we get out of the sort of the canyony section of these rivers, like the Tacoma Gorge is a canyon stretch of river, and you get into the places where there's a valley, like here, Grants Pass, or probably, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Bear Creek Valley, but that, there's a valley that starts at Ashland and it ends just north of Central Point, where there's hills on this side and there's hills on this side, and a bunch of flat land and a creek running through the middle. That's the valley. And the valley is defined by everywhere Bear Creek ever was. Bear Creek is moving side to side over the course of time. And in its wake, as it's migrating from one direction to the other, it's leaving flat land behind it. And that flat land is made up of all those sediment particles that the river is carrying downstream. They get deposited during floods. Why is that important? We come here, right? We West kind of people moving from the Eastern Euro Americans moving from the eastern part of the United States to the western part of the United States, and we're looking for flat, fertile ground that we can farm and build our houses on. It's all on floodplain. Almost all of our communities, everyone I can think of, maybe you have Forest Prospect, they're not so much in a floodplain, but everything certainly from Shady Cove down, all the communities I can think of in the Rogue Basin are next to a river on a floodplain. I think we could probably put the next one, and what, let's go back, sorry, Jeff. I don't want to spoil that one maybe. So while this development started happening, again, 175 years ago, we all started using the land and using natural resources, cutting down trees, harvesting fish, building levees or dikes to keep flood waters from picking up our towns and moving them downstream or ruining the fields that we've been farming. And though all of those land management decisions came with a set of consequences for the watershed. Nobody was setting out to make water quality poor. Nobody was trying to do things that would be detrimental to salmon habitat. But those impacts were a result of land management practices that have been on the planet, and this part of the planet, for about the last 175 years. And so it took a while, but about 20 or so years after two really important federal laws came into place, the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act, right, early 70s. The state of Oregon found themselves in a bit of a crisis related to water quality and fish populations. So I don't know the exact number. I think something like 23 or 24 petitions to list a salmon or steelhead stock were in front of the National Marine Fisheries Service in the early 90s. So they were looking at like 23 potential endangered species listings that they were working their way through. And at the exact same time, the Department of Environmental Quality and the Environmental Protection Agency were looking at water quality data from all across the state of Oregon. And they found that about 40% of the streams for which they had information were not meeting water quality standards. And the standards most commonly not met are water temperature, dissolved oxygen, and a bacteria called E. coli, which is related to vertebrate fecal material. It is a health hazard. So, sorry, while you're eating, I should have thought about that. Go ahead. So, fearful is probably the wrong word. Concerned is probably a better word. But the governor at the time was Governor John Kitzhaber, and he was a little bit concerned that there were going to be really overwhelming federal top-down regulations that were really gonna hamper Oregonians doing things Oregonians would like to do in the way that Oregonians would like to do them, related to fish habitat, and water quality. And so the jujitsu move that Key and the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality came up with in an attempt to sort of stem the federal regulations, the real super heavy-handed top-down approach to trying to make things better, was that they created an agency, and the agency at the time was called the Governor's Watershed Enhancement Board. It's now called the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board. And the idea behind this entity or this agency was that it was going to funnel capacity investments into local grassroots, community-driven nonprofit organizations to work on voluntary private lands-focused restoration efforts that would make water quality and salmon habitat better and hopefully have an impact on salmon populations. That is why watershed councils exist, essentially why watershed councils exist in Oregon at this level. Essentially, 100% of the state of Oregon is covered by a watershed council doing this kind of work. Again, voluntary, private lands focused restoration to improve water quality and salmon habitat. We are the Rogue River Watershed Council. The Rogue River Watershed Council formed in 2015 from 4 smaller councils merging. We added a 5th council a couple years after that. The idea behind the merger was to try and generate enough capacity that we could have specialized staff. Many watershed councils are like a person or 3/4 of a person. And I can tell you, I can't imagine trying to keep track of everything that you have to do to run an organization and develop projects and fund them and permit them and implement them at the same time. And I think largely that has been successful. So Rogue River Watershed Council, 1.9 million acres. It's a little more than half of the road basin is within our service area. It's the northern about third of Josephine County, stretching to the Josephine County stretching to the Curry County line. Most of Jackson County, everything that's not in the Klamath or in Applegate in Jackson County is under our, I don't even know what the right, I can never really figure out what the term is. Service area, I think is the best way that I can describe it. 9 board members, 3 of whom are from the Grants Pass area. We've got right now 5 staff, that's always fluctuating around. We've been as many as 7 or 8. In a typical year, what am I missing? Am I missing anything big? In a typical year, we spend 1.5 to 4 million bucks. It was the last maybe 4 or 5 years. And the overwhelming majority of that 1.5 to $4 million comes to us in the form of federal or state grants. And those the proposals that we write to receive those grants, go ahead and go to the next slide, are overwhelmingly like 97% of the dollars that come from those grants are in proposals designed to make things better for this guy or guys. Guys is a Chicago term. I think it ends in a Z. It's gender neutral. But so what are these? And by these guys, I mean these guys, not the species even so much. It's these juvenile coho salmon is what that is. And these are juvenile coho salmon. I can remember exactly. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember exactly where I was with a photographer taking this picture. It was in the middle of August, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're swimming in Elk Creek, which is up by trail, and all those fish are looking longingly into the mouth of West Branch Elk Creek, which is a spring-fed stream. And you could, when you're swimming in Elk Creek, snorkeling, going up to where these fish are hanging out right here, you can feel the water getting colder as you approach where those fish are hanging out. So they are literally nose into that flow, that cold, oxygen-rich water, because they have to be, or else they're gonna suffocate if they were out in the main part of Elk Creek. If you went back probably 6 hours later, the water temperatures in Elk Creek would have moderated to the point where they can disperse. On the day that we took this photo, we did go to this spot about 4 hours before that, and the fish weren't there. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, in they go. We need oxygen. All right, the magic trick I'm going to try to perform over the next Oh, boy, my timer, come on, really? That's maybe, what do we got? Maybe 10 or 15 minutes left?
Yeah, 10.
10?
10 then questions.
10 minutes and then 5 for questions. So I'm gonna convince you that doing good things for Coho is also good for drinking water. And now Chicago Brian's gonna kick in, he's gotta talk fast. All right, we're gonna hit a couple of the threats that natural resource professionals working in aquatic systems are staring at. And think about the consequences that threat has to salmon and that threat has to drinking water. And the first one is warm water. We already talked about this. Warm water carries less oxygen than cold water. Salmon need a lot of oxygen in their water. Therefore, they need cool water. Warm water also creates algal blooms and bacterial blooms. Right? E. coli bacteria is related to fecal matter in water. Those bacteria will go crazy if they have both the fecal matter and warm water. It's a health hazard. You will see signs posted next to streams that say no contact. That's because there's high levels of E. coli in that water. The algal blooms can impart taste or odor. Talk to somebody who gets their water from the Metro Water Commission. We all know it's not that the water tastes bad, but it tastes different when they turn on their pumping plant at Duff compared to the spring water that they get out of Big View Creek. Drier and warmer summers. I suspect many of you have been in the Rogue Basin for a while. I've worked down here since '95, lived down here since 2001, and I can sense that summers are getting drier and warmer. It just exacerbates the warm water question that we talked about earlier. It also has an impact on streams that don't have a reservoir upstream, right? If we've got a reservoir, we can manage the water coming out of the reservoir to increase the flow downstream. If there isn't a reservoir, you can't do that, and the flows in the streams are going to drop. That actually impacts the city of Cape Junction on their water supply. It also makes less habitat for these fish that we're concerned about. And then lastly, there's a joke. It will take a couple minutes, so I'm not going to tell it. But hey, we get drier and warmer summers and wetter winters. So actually, not wetter. I don't know if wetter is the right word. The models mostly suggest that we're getting about the same amount of precipitation every year. It's coming as rain, and it's coming in fewer storms, right? So we're getting these intense rainstorms that have the potential to wash out salmon reds, salmon nests. They're usually the eggs are in the gravel during the winter months, or they get smothered by sediment carried by those heavy flows. They also can push juvenile fish that need to hang out downstream because those fish can't hang with the heavy flows. Impacts to the aquifer from not having snow coming off the landscape slowly. We're getting less aquifer recharge. Okay, now we're ready. Blur your eyes on this one. We'll go through this real quick. On my right, your left is actual water temperatures, average water temperature in August. Red is bad. We don't see coho salmon anywhere where there's red. On my left, your right, that's projected water temperatures in August average in 2080. And the places that I see coho salmon when I'm out snorkeling are it projected to be in the red in 2080. So this is a bad deal. Again, think about it from the drinking water perspective too. Algae, bacteria, not good. What do you do about it? Well, this is what we do about it. This is what I think Rogue River Watershed Council is really good at, is developing and implementing restoration projects. And what's happening at this restoration project is, well, I wish I had it's not going to work because it's a TV. That's okay, Doug. It's not going to work because it's a TV. So I'm going to look at this to make sure I know what I'm on the left. That's the river channel. That is the South Fork of Little Butte Creek in a winter storm. All that water on the right, that water is flowing through a side channel that was there historically, but reconnected through a restoration project. What we're trying to do with projects like this is push water, get as much water peeled off the main stem of a creek during a winter storm, not in the summer, during a winter storm, get that water peeled off into a side channel up onto the floodplain. Why is that good? Well, let me tell you. Here's what happens, as that water is all spread out, it's soaking into the ground, it's saturating the soil that's in the floodplain. Some of that water, almost all of that water that's saturating the floodplain is becoming part of the water table. Some of that water that's in the water table is gonna recharge aquifers nearby. All these people are on wells, they're thankful for this kind of work, whether they realize it or not. Some of that water that's in the water table is slowly gonna work its way this direction, back into the creek, probably 4 months later, maybe 6 months later, right? If this is December, that water is gonna stay cold, filtered by the soil, leak back into the stream, increasing the flow of the stream and cooling the stream. While this water is sitting up on the floodplain or soaked into the water table on the floodplain, it's gonna propel the growth of all those trees in the floodplain forest. If we have a nice mature floodplain forest that's dense shrubs, trees. In August, when you walk into that forest, and it's gonna be 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the air temperature is gonna be if you walk the other direction on the road into the upland forest. So that's like an insulation, keeping the temperature of the water adjacent to that forest from warming. All right, we'll go ahead and move to the next one. So the Rogue River Watershed Council, our mission, there's 3 parts of our mission. One is we want to make watersheds in the Rogue Basin more resilient. What does that mean? Resiliency is the ability to receive an impact and bounce back from it quickly. We use a technique that I sort of showed you in an after slide there in the previous photo called ecological restoration, which is not like hardscaping something. We're really not working on the habitat so much as we are trying to re-engage natural processes that will sustain themselves over time. The natural process mostly that we're working on is floodplain connection and putting large wood in stream. And they both do the same thing. They get water during winter storms up out of the stream channel and up onto the floodplain. There's a third one that we work on, we're not gonna talk about too much here, but I'm assuming you guys all know salmon need to migrate in order to make their life cycle work, right? So we do work on a lot of fish passage issues to make sure that adult salmon and small salmon are able to move to the places they need to go. And then community partnerships, where people can support one another, or organizations can support one another with resources, knowledge. Have the partnerships support one another. One is the Road Drinking Water Partners, for which the city of Grants Pass is a key member, as is Medford Water Commission, City of Rogue River, and City of Gold Hill. And those folks are all trying to figure out how they can
No. No.
Yeah, you're back on, I think.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we are very close, and it's not even necessarily a race to get through the rest of this.
Hey, you want me to move forward?
Go ahead and move forward, yeah.
Maybe.
Magic finger. Yeah. Trust me. The main point I think of the next slide is just diving a little bit into the work that the Coho partnership is working on. So we've got a 30-year horizon that started in 2020. We've got a short-term action plan that is taking us from 2020 to 2029. There's about 130 different restoration activities in that 10-year action plan. Price tag of about $40 million. So resource sharing is gonna be key. We have nothing. We're dead in the water.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Huh.
Your beeper went off. That's what
I
happened.
think it is.
It went off and it killed everything.
It's a whole,
Mouse.
the whole thing.
Yeah. House to go.
Yeah, but if you click on the screen.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, there you go.
there we go.
Okay, I think I covered that side. This slide,
Thank you.
if you remember the picture with the water all over the floodplain, this is the same piece of ground looking in the opposite direction during construction. So you can see what it looks like. This secondary channel being scratched in on my right side, your left side. The creek is on the other side. This is what floodplain restoration looks like. We want to try to do this on about 400. This is about 30 acres. We want to do this by the end of 2029 on about 400 acres total. Next slide should be us putting, this is what putting large wood in the stream looks like. Again, the end result here is very similar to the secondary channel work. We're really just trying to push water up onto the floodplain. It also has a lot of other benefits, right? It accumulates gravel that salmon can spawn in. It creates deep pools that juvenile salmon can hang out in and avoid predators. And I think that brings us to the end.
Yeah.
Ah, nice, nice.
I'm open for questions if you have time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got time.
Questions?
Ever since the fourth grade, I've been wondering about, do we lose water in the water cycle? No, we're not gonna get any more, but I
Yeah.
always thought about the evaporation. Is it 100% that it comes back to water?
I think 100% of it comes back to, yes, absolutely.
It may not come to us, but it's going somewhere. I think that's the sad thing.
And about 5% of that, by the way, about 5% of the water on the planet is fresh water, which is what we need. The rest is salt water.
As I was watching the presentation, I was thinking about the youth camps that I've been having for years, where we're teaching forestry and natural resource management. And I can see this as being a really important feature. We haven't been bringing this up. So I would like to talk to you about how we can integrate this, because I'm actually working with a lot of other partners in natural resource, as well as the road workforce, in putting together a program where we can teach this to our young.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John's got a question right here.
First of all, are you involved with the Applegate River as well, or is that a different?
There's a different organization, there's another watershed council called the Applegate Partnership, but we work closely with them.
Okay. I remember going into planning one day and asking about floods and flood water. And the fellow there told me that the flood of 1889 had water up to our railroad tracks. Wow. That's all, that's not a question.
No, but you know, the perspective on
I
floods.
should never heard of that.
Yeah, right, no, it's sitting right 64 or 97 are the ones that come up, which were super minor. Yeah, those historic floods, really, you know, that's what shaped this landscape. And created the opportunity for us to have habitation in the valley. Again, they create flat spots. If you're from Illinois, flat spots abound. That was also created by rivers.
How do you measure success, or what are some of your metrics you use?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. We're noodling on that right now. Really to be developed, but honestly, I think the big one, what we monitor most closely, believe it or not, despite the fact that I'm a fisheries biologist, and we do a little bit of monitoring directly on fish. But we're really diving mostly into looking at these water quality parameters as a metric of our success. So we're looking at, I mean, it's such a snapshot in time, right? We've been around for all of 10 years, but we go to the same places and put data loggers in to measure water temperature every 15 minutes over the course of like the middle of May through the middle of October in the same spots every year. And we're hoping over time that we can show that water temperatures in the places that we've been restoring are coming down. It ain't gonna happen I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but I think it will happen if we keep acting.
So, do you have a sense for sort of percentage of landscape out there that should be
Yes,
improved, whatever the term is.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So, I know it within our focal watersheds, right? And I'll tell you what our focal watersheds are, just so you know, I don't expect you to necessarily know these places intimately. But Evans Creek, which flows in at the town of Rogue River. Little Butte Creek, which flows through Eagle Point. Trail Creek, up by Trail, obviously. Elk Creek, which is between Trail and Lost Creek Lake, and Big Butte Creek. And in those 5 watersheds, we think there's about 1,000 acres of restorable streamside habitat. We want to try and touch about a third.
Okay, that is fascinating. Just, I took a lot of this sort of science in school, and I'd never thought about diverting in the wintertime so that you can utilize the water when it's flowing at the highest. So that is kind of fascinating to me, because we all worry about the future, and we all worry about the water temperature, and this year, we're scared to death to see what it's gonna be to us. I know, I'm sure you are. So, yeah, this is wonderful. It is water month for
It is.
riparians, and so this is very special, and I do appreciate you coming. Like I said, I learned a lot, so that is really great. That is really wonderful.
Thank you. Good to see you. Nice.
And we will have the city event house coming, I think it's the 26th of this month, to talk about the water treatment plan and what they do in terms of, sanitation and how the project is going, because that's a big one in our community for sure. So, yeah, that's all good. So thank you so very much for that. And with that, it's time for the, charge for arms. I'm trying to figure out who.
Thank you.
Oh, so yeah, so I have Allison, and you don't look like Allison, but hey.
I will channel Allison.
Channel Allison for today.
Okay, on behalf of Allison, Calvin was really funny. Everybody go, right? Everybody laugh. So Allison's little boy is Calvin, and she usually shares some pretty funny little stories about him. So it's springtime, so we're gonna do Sergeant of Arms on spring. I think this next day or two of the warm weather, my asparagus will pop out of the ground, and that's thrilling. That's my first thing in my garden where I get first thing in my garden that tells me it's spring. Although this year we had morels that popped out of the ground as well, which was really nice. I might have said that last week, but we've got morels in our front yard, which is lovely. In our front yard, there's only 4 of them. And I've nursed them along, that looked like slug slime along the side, I was like out there like getting panicked. And I live in the middle of Grants Pass, so it's odd to have morels, but we get them every once in a while when we spread some kind of hardwood on the ground out there. The morels will pop out the next year. That's great. Okay, so I'm also going to do something a little different. We're going to find people, because we don't ever really find people at Sergeant of Arms. So, being springtime, have any of you done any spring cleaning? Yeah, like a car, maybe clean the mud out. There's a couple yeses, mostly no's. Okay, the office, maybe organize your paperwork. Okay, if you haven't, that's $1. Okay? Those that you have, you don't have to, all right? All right. Now, does anybody in here have any kind of floral pattern clothing on that I can make fun of? No? Okay, no. All right, well then everybody else. Okay, yeah, and I was gonna say, Patty, I think that fits. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so then you don't owe $1, everybody else does owe $1. All right, how about sneezes and allergies? Anybody sneezed a bunch today? 50 cents a sneeze. Okay, how about antihistamines? Anybody on antihistamines or any? That's $2. Whoever's on good drugs, antihistamines, $2. Okay, keep track, all right? All right, here's another one that popped up from AI when I pushed this in there a little bit ago. Can anybody, any of you sort of into plants? There's a couple of you in here that are plant geeks, right? Nerds. Can you name some of those trees out there that are along the sides, or when you walk in, do you name the trees? Anybody? Yeah?
Right over there and.
I'm gonna put money down for that one. Yeah. All right, Ed and Charlie, why do all gonna be guys? Is no winner?
Well, just the 2 I.
Charlie's gender neutral.
Is that how I meant it?
I have no idea.
I don't know. All right.
Not
All
gonna
right.
speak for.
Okay, all right, then I'll pay for that one. All right. Now, does anybody like look at those things and just say, I don't know, it's a bush. Who cares? It's a bush. Yeah. Most of you, that's $1. Okay. All right. Have any of you had the chance to get outside and just kind of soak up the nice weather yesterday afternoon? Just kind of sit there? Oh, lucky you. Lucky you.
How much?
I don't know. I'm going to give you a break because I'm jealous. I haven't won anything. Yeah, no fines on that one. Okay. Does anybody have any springtime happy bucks that they want to talk about? Stories? There's one way back there. Those hands went up. Where's the mic? You guys.
I have only, I'd like to give 5 happy bucks, but I think I only have 2, but y'all can have all the money in my wallet. My koi fish that were gifted to me last year survived in my pond, and I saw all 5 of them sitting in the sunshine with them. And they're happy and healthy and beautiful and alive.
Nice. And you live out in the boonies. The birds and the raccoons haven't got them yet, huh?
No, you should see the things that I have done. We have a tent stake with netting, so my ducks don't eat their food. And the blue heron comes and looks for them every day. But they're survivors. There's 2 like this big. Gorgeous.
Okay, who else was that? Lisa.
So this isn't necessarily a springtime story, but I have 21 happy bucks because 21 days ago, I ended up in the hospital.
Mhm.
And I had surgery that was unexpected, and 21 days later, here I am, a little shaky, but very grateful. And thankful. My husband is amazing, my friends, my family. It was been a journey.
Yes, well,
Very-
we are, I think we all are happy bucks that you are back.
Yes.
Thank you. It is coming around. Jen, raise your hand. Who's next door? That's pass that over.
I just turned 88 and I feel great.
You're Ryan,
And I let my real estate license expire. I made my 5th sale in 1975. I made my last sale in 2025.
50 years, that is, I did the math really fast. That's 50 years, John, good for you.
So my happy bucks is about, some buildings I saw from the freeway yesterday.
Yes.
I was the driver, so I couldn't go, wait, but anyway, is that for the, homeless housing?
veterans.
Homeless is for the veterans,
Yeah.
the veterans housing
Okay.
departments, yeah.
Well, they're homeless, I thought that was part.
They're not, no, it's not exclusive to homeless veterans, it's
Okay.
veterans.
Well,
There
it
may be
was
some
quite
that are
terrific,
homeless.
how fabulous, I mean, it's like, it's a huge thing, and I saw the old structure, the old house there and everything that I used to take furniture and stuff too. So I think that's fabulous.
It is fabulous, and the framing contractor builds the wall panels in White City, wherever they're at, and then they bring them up and they put them up with cranes, and it's really fantastic. And the quality is really high too. Go ahead, yeah, Victoria.
So I just have 2 happy bucks for my 2 kids. Lincoln Elementary doesn't like me apparently, so they had the 4th grade performance last night and the 5th grade performance tonight.
Right back there. I think, I recall that from elementary school. There was a lot of nights where it's like, okay, what are we having? Taco Bell, Burger King, what's it? Because they're doing a lot of running.
My happy bucks are $5. Also a koi fish story. I've got a large pond, and they came up on March 5th. And that's the earliest they've come up, and they always survive because because it's a huge pond, they go way, way down. And the heron come, but they are cute. And they came up early, and they are just hungry.
So koi, or those fish will sort of, not migrate, what the hell, hibernate, thank you, down in the mud. Okay. Is that all right? Yeah.
I've got 5 happy bucks because Girls Rock this last Saturday was a huge success, and we had maximum capacity. Every one of our workshops was completely filled, and lots of girls came with their moms and their dads and their brothers and sisters, and yeah, we just had a wonderful time, and it was the best ever, I think.
I have 20 happy bucks because Jed just finished his 6 months of weekly chemotherapy.
Yay.
And so now he'd be down to monthly, but he's He's in unique and he's gotta recover from that, but anyway, we did it.
I'm gonna tag on to Claudia's Girls Rock piece. You guys haven't seen, one of the classes that girls could sign up for was to work with an architect from ZCS. And they worked on designing a teen library, and they're gonna be presenting their designs this Saturday. I think it's at 5 o'clock in the evening at the Grants Pass Library. So if you wanna come see them present the designs that they came up with, that should be really exciting.
Yeah, I'll add to that because we are about to have those same conversations with the architects. And so those teen designs will be wrapped into those conversations about the children's room and teen room the next 3 or 4 weeks at those meetings with the architects for the new library building, which we still need donations for. Lots of donations. Lots of donations.
I don't have a spring story, but I say something nice on the Ski Row puts out a thing for businesses. What's it called? Small Business Saturday, and you just have to comment something nice about the place he's highlighting. And I commented something nice. I thought about horny goat, but I got a gift certificate. Okay. I got a gift certificate for just for commenting something nice. Out of 160 people that commented, there were 4 people that won, and I won.
I think, what was the fix in or what was going on there? Yeah, okay.
So my happy buck is kind of bittersweet, but it's actually good. 35 years in business, and now all these things in my business. I'm getting ready to retire. All of a sudden, everything's needing replacement. So I got a new security system, which required Dan disturbed my phone system. I got a new phone system. Then my alignment machine went down. So 1999, I guess it served its life, but a lot of new stuff, but it's kind of exciting. The new alignment equipment will improve what we do, speed up the process. And it's just a nice investment company. It feels really good that we're kind of giving it a little facelift. So I'm kind of happy about it, even though it's about a $50,000 hit.
You know, that's gonna lead to plumbing problems. Yeah, that's the water heater, then the air conditioner. That's next. Do you have a buyer for your business then?
Not yet. I haven't marketed it yet. I'm still writing a little bit. I got this project for one finish in my property before I try to make my exit, so. Still hanging in there, and it's running good right now, so I'm not really all that. Not really ready to just walk away and say I took.
Okay, anyone else? No, we're getting close. Okay, we do the cards. Can we get Brian to pull one? Brian, can you pull a card for our 50-50 drawing?
Go fish.
Winner of the two of spades.
Two of spades.
I had a different two.
Right. Hey, I love when that happens. So yeah, our new member is the winner. So that's great. I also am gonna throw in a couple happy bucks. It's on the table because I had the opportunity to go up and visit my grandchildren this last week. So I went to a lot of wet soccer games. It made me appreciate Southern Oregon and reminded me why I moved down here, because I used to live up there and now my daughter lives up there. And she'd really like to come back down here too. So she said if we have a warm spring break, she will visit. But yes, it was a wet soccer games, but I really had a good time. And I'm so happy to see Lisa back again. Is she here? So welcome back. It's nice to see Dawn back. And I said, it's just nice to see so many smiling faces. So that's great. So thank you for being here. And with that, I have a couple, first of all, my thought for the day, which is always AI. I'd like to play around with AI a little bit. Our river's strength is not in its speed, but in its unwavering journey forward, embracing every obstacle as part of its path, rather than a barrier to it. So that's from AI, Copilot. And then quotes, because I always like real people quotes. Rivers are places that renew our spirit, connect us with our past, and link us directly with the flow and rhythm of the natural world. Ted Turner. And who hears the rippling of rivers will not utterly despair of anything. And that's Henry David Thoreau. So have a nice week and I will see you next Thursday. Or perhaps on Friday, Abby.
So thank you for your presentation. So one fact that I kind of snagged with my thought, you said there no way we could ever have any more water. Right?
The way I understand it, all the water there ever was is what we've got now. Yeah, and we won't have any more in the future.
So I think about things like water is H2O.
Is there a chemical, right, is there a chemical process that creates it?
Sometimes you let a park and go somewhere else.
And to take all
I guess they
my,
get replaced.
generally, I'm gonna go for a spring break to see my family.
That's what.
I used to have 4 and.
May not quite be right. It well, may not quite
Now
be
I'm
exactly.
down one. They're big. Belgian, 2 Belgian Valentines. Collie. Well, I think, I brought Jasmine. And then I have a golden retriever. She's so sweet. Everybody loves her. Right.
Salinization plant.
So is that
Well, I think also saltwater, some saltwater evaporates.
Where it was just wonderful.
The water part evaporates. The salt part doesn't. And it all goes back, it goes into. So the desalinization plant on such a small scale that I don't think it makes a meaningful difference. And then
About
it's
2.5.
that cycle.
And she did.
Evaporation,
She wanted me to mostly she already. Pretty stable.
in the grand scheme of things, stay pretty settled. You have to go a lot of,
That's me.
points to
Pardon me.
find the differences. I don't think that you can-
Don't forget to check
Yeah, no, that's.
t-shirts, buy your t-shirts on the way out, either the Porch Fest or the regular Rotarians at work. So the t-shirts are in the back, the packet is back there, and there's an envelope with your cat.
And. That's one why.
Generated technology needs. I was having this question, but I have a friend, Christina Arnado, he was having a question.
Instead of. Oh, no, that's so.
Bill Arnado from the 90s is her dad. We went to middle school together. And she's the greatest best friend in the world. Love her. And she grew up out in Williams. And so we went out there and just we went and saw her mom's grave. She's in the Williams Cemetery. And we just had a really good time. It's nice when you can show up for your friends. I want to give him my card because I did the Stream Restoration Alliance project on Shan Creek. And it was funny because all the scientists came in and they said they were going to do these things. And I'm like, that's not going to work. And I just gained a lot of experience. And just now, this last year, the final structures have mostly washed out.
I want to talk to him about having this be, it can bring the city a future of what we teach the kids.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
Hi
there.
May I get your card?
Yes, I
If you
think,
wanna.
I am pretty sure I have cards.
So you'll be somebody I can call in if you start offering this as a.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. I don't remember his first name. The guy I worked with, his name was Dan.
Dan Delaney?
Dan Delaney, I want to say. Yeah, I worked with Dan on the Stream Restoration Alliance. I'm at the mouth of Shan Creek.
Top or not.
Got cards. Give me.
Here, I don't know what y'all are doing, and it sounds like I'm not in your district being down by Griffin Park. Because I'm at Shan Creek, and I work for Pacific Aviation, but that's my cell phone number, and I'm
Shan
Jenny.
Creek is in our.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the last of the structures just kind of went out.
Oh, it did.
I remember Dan was like, we're gonna do this. I'm like, Dan, that's not gonna work. And he's like, sure it will. I'm like, no, it won't. It will wash them out. And then we did some rock structures and those have kind of sunk. But the first year I saw a huge difference.
Oh, really?
Because I grew up in the same place and I'm 50. And when I was a kid, I remember the fish and walking and checking them out. And those first couple of years right after we did it, I saw a market improvement on the fish spawning. Like big
Okay.
fish, and I hadn't seen them in years.
If you're interested, I'd love to, we could take you to some of the stuff we've been doing lately, which is
Cool.
on a pretty different scale than what, no,
Right.
that's what Dan was doing, but it's on a really different scale.
Absolutely.
Huge logs.
Ours were some pretty big timbers.
Yeah, okay.
And they held until just, I'd say this last
Yeah,
winter, a lot of them washed out.
12 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
Yep,
Yeah.
I'd say, because I know it was before
before
COVID.
us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Dan was the last coordinator at Middle Road. I am a Rotary.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Which club are you at?
Central Point.
Oh, okay.
Our office is. What's that?
That's a very good club.
It's a great club. Yeah, we can raise some, yeah, we spend it pretty
That's
well.
awesome.
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah, that's what you do. You raise it, you spend it.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed. I went to it.
Yeah, the pick an option maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have.
Let me see if I can dig up a photo.
Loved her.
On Shan, okay, okay.
Well, actually, it's.
She's one of the tributaries to Shan Creek. It goes through her property.
Well,
360 acres.
yeah. And I've been having camps for years. And about 5 years ago, we started doing what we called on-ramp camps for forestry, where we taught forestry, firefighting, and natural resource management. And we are having a gathering at our place on the 24th of March. We're having day 2 of our on-ramp camp. We'll do it with other people, but then we're also having gathering of all of our stakeholders. All the different.
You want some help?
People that teach different things, and we don't have. them today.
Okay. This year is probably gonna be a stretch for us, but maybe next year. I know I've got a stack of cards.
Okay, well. if you
No
got-
worries.
you've
Are-
got- you've
Are
got-
these them right here? Those might have been Doug's.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking for a business card.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
Sorry.
so anyway, you got her contact, just lives down the street from me, so you can.
I can get to your.
That way we get both of us for
Ryan.
Yeah.
Here's your thumb.
one stone.
I also wanted to share with you, my sister lives in Red Sox, California, and she works for the water conservation. And they do really amazing work, and she loves to talk about her work. So if you ever need some data or input in that area, I'd be happy to connect you.
That'd be great.
All
All
right.
right, Jenny, I may reach out to you so that I can get your information. And your name is
Brenda.
Brenda.
Yeah.
Brenda Patton, she lives across the street, she's my grandma. Across the street.
Super nice to meet you guys.
You as well. Yeah, and
Good luck with this full.
stand my best. Oh, they're in my pond, because I'm on the Rogue River. And then Shan Creek runs down the side of my property. I'm not at the mouth. It's BLM. It's landlocked BLM. And I know all the neighbors, and then I have a pond, spring-fed pond, and it's about as big as this room. And someone's koi had outgrown their little tiny backyard. So I put them in there, and I was like, I don't know, I put a sump pump in the middle so we can hydrate it. But I've got lots. It's an old pond, so it's. When I had to put a chain link around my overflows, they don't walk out. Then I had to put a dog cage on my front pump so it wouldn't suck them up. And then I had to build the net thing. That's what really bothered me.